I'm Mary, and welcome to my EPQ presentation. To start off with, I would like to discuss why I chose my project. Narrowing down my choices was a very easy process for me, as I already knew I wanted to create a short video, but a mind map of my general ideas helped me formulate a more specific plan. I decided to shoot and edit a short artistic video inspired by indie cinema and street photography, and was inspired by my love of these visual art forms, having always found their beauty and the elements of their production fascinating. In addition to this, I saw it as an opportunity to develop vastly contrasting skills to the three essay subjects I'm studying at A-level. Throughout my research process, I identified and analysed my themes and inspirations by looking at videos, documentaries, films, articles, and portfolios, which allowed me to sharpen my vision. My general plan for my film developed quite organically from this, as I found many shots and techniques I wanted to incorporate. They also followed a common theme, finding the beauty in the everydays of our human experience and creating art and spectacle out of the mundane. In the latter stages of my research, I began to develop practical skills through primary research. I recreated and reimagined many of the photographs, shots, and stills I had been studying, and furthered this by taking my own originals. I reflected upon them by comparing them to the inspo images and analysed where I was successful and what could be improved. During my photographing process, I tried to follow the advice of the video and article tutorials I had been researching alongside this. I documented and analysed my research process by keeping several logs. Firstly, my source tracker, in which I discussed what I have learned, how I will use it to further my project, and then what I will look to next. This encouraged a linear progression in my research. Secondly, I evaluated the quality of my sources using color coding and a CRAAP rating system, which judged sources against their currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. This formed a reflective style of research and helped me to improve my source choice. Finally, I accredited all my sources in a Harvard-style bibliography. In regards to planning, I managed my time and kept track of my project's progress. I did this by keeping a diary in which I detailed the work I completed to make sure I was keeping to project deadlines and to set short-term goals. For my longer-term goals, I made and annotated a timeline which I created with ideas from an AI-generated project breakdown. In addition to this, I aimed to stick to my weekly schedule to make sure I was dedicating enough time to my project. When completing my primary research, I transferred the skills I learnt during primary research to begin drafting my final artifact. This is where I encountered some of my project's main problems. I entered this project as a complete novice, so the technical skills I faced led to many steep learning curves. My most pressing problem was definitely how slow my editing process was. It took longer than I had accounted for in my timeline, and led to a crunch in the closing 2 weeks of my project. From this, I definitely learnt not to underestimate the depth of skill needed to use editing software, even with all of its modern advancements, and to give myself more leeway at the end of my project timelines. Despite this, drafting and editing my video was an enjoyable experience. I completed several drafts after my initial plan, and in each draft I explored a different technique and described my process using screenshots from my editing software. Each draft built into my final cut. I documented this evolution skills through both visual and written presentations. I firstly created 2 tables, the skill development table covering why I wanted to develop it, and secondly, evidenced how I developed it. I also created a table in which I commented on my level of skill pre and post project. This table was accompanied by 2 skill wheels, one pre-project and one post-project, where I ranked my skills out of 10. My fourth focus after planning, research, and skill development is evaluation. I made sure to incorporate it in every step of my process some form of evaluation. For example, I engaged thoroughly with peer and self-reviews and implemented changes as results of my conclusions. In my diary, I evaluated the positives and negatives of each work session, with what went wells and even better ifs. I evaluated my timeline regularly and annotated in my adjustments to ensure I could bring my project to fruition. Creating an Eisenhower prioritization grid assisted me in ordering my tasks by evaluating their urgency by priority and importance. I evaluated the extent of my success throughout my primary research and my drafts, and considered how I would do it differently next time. My evaluations taught me to critique my work and accept feedback that helped me improve my work process and my skill development. Overall, I would say my project was a success. I'm pleased with my final outcome as it met my aims and ambitions, and I thoroughly enjoyed the creative process. I see myself making another video in my own time. Thank you for watching.